Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the M1a2 Abrams in Armored Warfare. Now, yesterday I did the T90, today I'm doing the Abrams. The Abrams really is kind of an in-the-middle tank. It has some, but not all, of the resiliency of the Challenger, but it also has great mobility and a decent gun, putting it, I think, firmly in the middle of all the tanks that you can get in the main battle tank lines in Armored Warfare. Now, sometimes in certain games, when you get something that's a jack of all trades but a master of none, what in some games like that, a whole lot of everything can sometimes be a whole lot of nothing. But with the Abrams, I mean, it really just is a whole lot of everything, and it is a very solid performer. And surprisingly, it can get up to some fairly decent speed. Not as maneuverable as you may like, but it really can pick up to a decent speed, and you can go marauding with this tank on the battlefield. But enough talking about it. Let's show you what I mean. Alright, so here we are. We're in a hard mode. We're in Tier 9. This is a really, really solid performer. And despite the fact that it really doesn't excel in any one area, I mean, it used to have, like, one of the biggest hit point pools of all the tanks out there. And that has been diminished in patches, subsequent to the start of open beta. But the Abrams line really is, to my mind, one of my favorite lines to go down, if not one of the best to go down if you're going to be playing PVE. Just because once you get to the M1a2 which is, I believe, the Tier 5, once you get to that tank, it has a whole bunch of explosive reactive armor all over it. And I mean, the tanks just keep getting more and more resilient, and it really kind of helps with the leveling process when you have a really tough tank going into the XM1, the M1, the M1a, and then the M1a2, which is this one, or the M1a1, and then the M1a2, which is this one. Sorry. But, I mean, the tank does take damage a little bit more than the Challenger does. But it is still a fairly resilient tank with a pretty beefy hit point pool. As you can see, I just took a big hit there. But it really isn't that big of a deal because I still have the hit points to carry through. And as you're going to see pretty soon, the tank really is, I mean, it's deceptively big and deceptively kind of heavy and armored looking. And really, this is a tank that just wants to cut loose on the battlefield and start cracking skulls, and you're going to see it in just a little bit. And that's the one thing that I think is underappreciated on the battlefield sometimes is mobility. Mobility really kind of, it gives you the ability to just kind of take charge of a situation where ordinarily you wouldn't be able to. Now, even though these kills that I'm getting right here are fairly low hit point kills, there is a small bonus to getting the kill shot on a tank. But I think that small bonus more or less just makes up for the fact that you're using, ammo to basically, or using a shot to take the last 60 or 100 hit points of a tank sometimes. And it's just to kind of make up for that and just to equalize the experience that you would normally get for something like that. But anyways, here we go. Nope, sorry. My mistake. We're not going quite yet.
Identify target. Hostile tank.
We've kind of stood off this main enemy force. But yeah, here we go. Now it's time to just start cracking skulls. Boom. The Abrams really does have great fire on the move accuracy. It's easily able to outposition its enemies a lot of the times. As long as you don't stop and slow down. When you do, unless they're otherwise occupied, it can be kind of a bad thing. But it's also sometimes difficult to kind of plan your moves across the battlefield and to pick terrain that's conducive to, kind of keeping your speed up and keeping your momentum up. and keeping your vulnerable parts of your tank covered while you're making your approach. But we're easily able to kind of move through all these enemy vehicles and kind of get some pretty valuable shots into their side armor. And that fire on the move accuracy in the Abrams is one of the things that just I love about this tank.
Identified. Hostile
It really just has a super, super accurate gun. If there was a theme song to driving this tank, it would be Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. Or the Benny Hill theme, depending on what your teammates do.
It's fixed. Move it out.
Oh well, you know what? Whatever. It was a pretty good run while it went.
Penetrated.
But yeah, that fire on the move accuracy is one of the things that makes this tank just so awesome. This isn't even a fully skilled crew. I still have my M1a2 from Tier 8. I never sold that tank to buy the Tier 9. And frankly, I'm not sure that I will, just because that tank comes in so handy so often. I really do enjoy driving it. Now, I can't really kind of get behind this guy without exposing myself too much in between his shots, so I'm just kind of opening him up for my teammates and letting them shoot him in the ass while he stays occupied with me. But now I'm going to move in to get flank shots on the enemy team that is kind of sitting on the cap. Now, up here, I'm going to kind of show you something that you may not know about in Armored Warfare, and that is, if you put an obstruction over most of your tank, like this truck right here, you wouldn't think that this is much of an obstruction. But these flatbeds, if you put these towards the side of your tank, NPC tanks will generally not shoot at you. From the side, at least, because you've hidden so much of your tank that I guess it just kind of, there's something in the AI that just says if X amount of tank is hidden, don't waste your shot. And so, like, even though there's going to be guys, or usually there are guys that'll spawn off to the side, I'm safe as long as I have this flatbed to the side of me. They've never shot at me even when they've spawned right beside me, because that flatbed blocks their shot, or at least in their mind or their programming blocks their shot. So they just kind of leave me alone for the most part, and which allows me to just kind of sit here and just rain shells on the enemy team with impunity. And also because we got this guy up front who's distracting them. And that's just, another great thing about the Abrams. Its rate of fire is good. Everything about it is just good. And given these opportunities and knowing enough about the map and how the battle's going to kind of play out, you can actually sit back and just rain shells on the enemy team. And even if they were to open up on me, they'd be firing into my front, which is the toughest part of my tank, so I really wouldn't have to worry that much. So even though I think to a lot of people Abrams represents a less exciting choice, because there's that Ramka 99 I was talking about in the first video. A lot of people they tend to go with foreign tanks. So they want Leopard, they want T90, they want these tanks that are kind of out in the extremes. And generally I'm the type of player that prefers something that plays in the extremes. But with Abrams, it's such a solid performer. It's useful in so many situations. There's nothing really great about the tank, but at the same time, there's nothing bad about the tank. It's just solid. It's just a solid tank. Great accuracy, great speed. Well, good accuracy, good speed, and it just good armor. Everything about it is good. Nothing is great, but everything is good. If that makes any sense. I mean, it's just a fantastic performer, because it just doesn't really seem to fall short in any one area. And even though, I mean, you got T90MS here, you've got pretty much just about every representative from top tier tanks here, I'm still performing extremely well, even though I'm really not a standout in any one place. And I just love these drive-by shots with this tank. The fact that you can just do this over and over and over again. If there is one great feature about this tank, it is that fire on the move accuracy. And this isn't even a fully skilled crew yet. So that can only get better. You know, I don't even think I've picked the second tier of crew skills on this. And already I'm able to do things like that. And things like this. It's an awesome tank because it's just not terrible in any area. And so honestly, if you do go up the American line, starting at M60A3, you're just on a solid track, and each one of those tanks is just really a solid performer in every respect. And it just, you know, it's not time wasted. It is a good tank, and it is a great tank line. And I'm dying to see the tier 10 version of this with supposedly the possibility of attaching a 140 millimeter gun to it. That could be interesting. That could be very, very interesting. Anyways, let's look at the end plates and see how we did. Now, this wasn't my daily double. I had redone this match just a little while ago, but at solid earnings. I mean, for what PVE is paying out right now, obviously topped out for the team, even though I really wasn't that much of an outstanding, tank in terms of any one respect. Is just a solid all-around performer, and definitely not time or money wasted. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this look at the M1a2 Abrams and general talk about the Abrams line, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.